Another Chinese crossover, you might say. Well, it is. This one's from Great Wall, one of the newer brands to enter our market. This specifically is the Haval Jolion, and it might not be just another crossover, because this one's hybrid, and it looks like it's got potential. One of the first few things I noticed once I stepped into the Jolion is that it's pretty quiet here. Sound deadening is very impressive, and noise from the road and from other passing vehicles with stupidly loud exhausts are suppressed quite well. Road imperfections are nothing for the Jolion too. The suspension eats up small bumps and small potholes on the road quite easily. Now, you might expect me to say that this might be one of the most comfortable crossovers I've ever tested. Well, no. When you're driving on a straight line, say on the open expressway, it's okay. It's excellent actually. But once you hit winding roads, not even ones with hairpins and sharp corners, mind you, just even the slightest turns, you will feel the body roll. You will feel yourself swaying inside this cabin, and it's pretty bad. Actually, at some point when I was driving, my phone fell down from the wireless charging pad when I was taking a corner, and I wasn't even going that fast. I even have a video of my dog wiggling around in the back. It's actually pretty funny, but it also goes to show just how much you'll sway inside this cabin whether you're a passenger or you're the driver. But once you get back into the city, which is where a lot of you will be doing most of their driving anyway, it's a very easy car to drive. Apart from the fact that the steering is very light, it has all these safety features and parking aids that makes maneuvering through tight spaces quite easy. It also has a very nifty feature that you will like in traffic. It's the single pedal mode. So I have it turned on right now, so I drive as is, I press on the gas pedal and I accelerate just as usual. But once I let go of it, I'm not even hitting the brakes. I aggressively come to a stop. So it makes the braking harder and it helps the battery charge faster and better, so better fuel economy in general. I'm actually a bit skeptical about this because it's a new technology in a new brand, but to my surprise, it works pretty well. Now, even if I said the handling leaves a lot to be desired, at least in terms of the engine's performance, it impresses yet again. The hybrid system here is similar to that of the Honda CR-V. You would drive it as you would any typical gasoline-powered car. No need to worry about juice or plugging it in or whatnot. You just drive and the battery charges as you go along or through regenerative braking. But unlike in the Toyota hybrids though, this one doesn't come with a dedicated EV button. So the system just switches between EV and non-EV mode automatically. That's okay because switching between battery and gasoline power is pretty smooth and seamless. You won't feel any sudden movements or harsh vibrations from inside the cabin. This hybrid system's got enough oomph when you need it too. Cruising along the highway at speed is fairly easy, but speed isn't exactly what this thing was built for, it's fuel economy, and in that regard, it also impresses. On the highway doing about 100 kilometers per hour, I got 17 kilometers per liter. Slow that down a bit to 80 kilometers per hour and you'll get about 20 kilometers per liter. Now, driving in the city with light traffic and a lot of idling here and there, I got 13 to 14 kilometers per liter. It didn't go lower than that, which is pretty good. I've got quite a few things I'd like to point out here. Some good, some bad. Let's start with the smell. It's not something I usually discuss in reviews, but here it's something I need to point out. Once you get into the cabin or once the AC starts running, there's a fishy smell inside. I'm not sure if it has anything to do with the unit because this one has 8,000 kilometers on it already, but it's something that bothers me, so I really need to point it out. But get past the smell, of course, and there are a lot of things to commend here. For example, legroom and headroom is excellent and it's easy to find the right driving position because even if this doesn't have telescopic adjustment, it only has tilt adjustment. You have power controls for the seats. By the way, speaking of driving position, even if you find the perfect one, it may feel a bit weird holding the steering wheel because of the layout. Well, the design actually. Palubog siya. So when you're holding it like this, it doesn't feel that natural. It feels a bit weird. Not that it's such a big thing to complain about, but it's also worth pointing out. Moving on to the material here, you've got a nice combination of soft touch materials, textured trim and some hard plastic all around. The execution is okay. It's got a nice color combination to it, though I have to say the white will stain easily. But there's one thing I would change here. It's this shiny trim on the gear shift knob and on the cup holder cover. It looks a bit tacky. It looks a bit cheap. And had they stuck with this color or just made it black, it would have been a lot better. In terms of layout though, I really like what they did with this cabin. There are a lot of pockets, a lot of storage spaces here. So you've got this small opening here, perfect for your keys. You've got this small pocket here, perfect for your phones. And a smaller pocket here for your RFID cards. And you have this wireless charging pad here, of course. Cup holders here, and this was the small or large storage space I was talking about. Of course, typical glove compartment and a sizable bin underneath the center armrest. Before we move on to the back, let's talk about the tech here. Let's start with this. This touchscreen is a 12.3-inch infotainment system with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto connectivity. Now, the display is very clear. It's bright. It's actually too bright when you're using it at night. And this is where you'll see the front and rear camera display. Those cameras, by the way, are stupidly clear. Like, they're very clear. We'll try to show them to you. I don't know if we have footage of that. But anyway, it's super clear and it makes it even easier to park at night. The sound it produces through the 6-speaker setup is also pretty decent. And what I don't like about it is that everything is buried inside this touchscreen display. Sure, you have controls here for the AC, for the camera, but that's about it. If you want to adjust the temp of the climate control system, you have to do it here. And you have to press the, I don't know what this is, it's a taskbar. You have to press it or swipe down to have the AC controls pop up. And everything else, the controls for your lane keep assist and lane departure warning, some of your driver assist systems can be tweaked here. So I'm now here in the back, and it's actually my first time trying out the back seats, and it's actually quite nice here. This driver's seat is set to my driving position and moved further back, so I can imagine a 5'10" guy sitting here in front, and I still have a lot of legroom to work with. I also have a ton of headroom, and there's more than enough space for 2 people here. And for 3 people, well, 3 average-sized adults, not me, they will fit perfectly fine here at the back. You also have an armrest here in the middle with 2 cup holders, and you have 2 AC vents, 2 USB-A charging ports, and a small cubby underneath. On both doors, you have bottle holders and small pockets here, and you get just about the same material as what you would get in front. The seats here, by the way, are the same. This, I'm not sure what this design is for. While it does look pretty cool, I'm not sure what it does for comfort. But in any case, they're soft and nice to sit in. You also have, of course, grab bars here with reading lights and a nice view courtesy of the sunroof up top, though you don't have any controls for that here at the back. One thing I don't like here at the back, though, I'm not sure if this comes as standard, are the mattings, or the lack thereof. There are just rubber mats here, and they aren't nice to put your feet on, and they don't look good. So I hope this comes with the proper mattings when you buy it off the dealership. Now, before we talk about the exterior, let's check out the trunk. So as we move on to the back, I'd like to point out how easy it is to get in and out of the second row because the floor is low and the door opening is quite large. Anyway, here in the trunk, you're looking at 430 liters of space. At least that's what the spec sheet says. I'm just not sure how this is 430 liters, maybe because of the tonneau cover. This comes as standard, by the way, and you can take it out. Yeah, there you go. So you can take it out, or you can hang it on the lift gate if you want to. So you can also fold down the 60/40 rear seats to open up even more space, but as it stands, well, it does look like you have a lot of space. You also have small cubbies on both sides to store bottles, cleaning stuff, and a fire extinguisher. That comes as standard. To prove that it comes as standard, it even has a dedicated storage space here. You have straps here for that specific small extinguisher. Kaya na bahala kung ano ibig sabihin nun. The Jolion is a neatly designed crossover with an aggressive-looking front fascia thanks to these sporty swept-back headlamps. They also have these blue accents that actually look pretty good. Now, if you look at it, it's not overly designed, it's not overly aggressive, just a good mix of classy and sporty. Now, over here on the grille, you have these chrome bits sprinkled all around with a larger chrome strip at the bottom, and it also looks pretty decent. The integration of the front radar sensor here is also pretty good, but what I would change here on the front fascia would be the badge. It's just too big, it's too bright, and it just doesn't mesh well with the design. Sorry. And when you move on over to the back, it gets a bit worse. But before we go there, let's talk about the dimensions first. The Jolion measures 4,472 millimeters long, 1,841 millimeters wide, and 1,619 millimeters tall. Relative to the Toyota Corolla Cross, it's actually pretty close. It also sits on 18-inch wheels, which look pretty good, shod in Kumho tires. Now let's go to the rear. Like the front end, this one is styled pretty well. It's got a pair of large taillights, a sporty spoiler up top, and underbody claddings here that give it a beefier look. But like I said, this also has a large Haval badge on the liftgate that kind of ruins the look for me. Imagine if it had a smaller emblem. If only Haval had a smaller badge, it would have looked a lot cleaner. The Jolion range starts at sub 1 million pesos for the base variant and goes up to about 1.2 million pesos for the range-topping non-hybrid trim. Now it jumps all the way to 1,588,000 pesos for this range-topping HEV DHT Supreme variant. Quite pricey? Well, not exactly. It's still slightly more affordable than the two Toyota hybrid crosses. So not bad, huh? So now we move on to the pros and the cons. Let's start with the pros. Number one, the price tag, making this one of the most affordable hybrids in the market right now. Now this brings me to my second pro, which is fuel economy. This does 13 to 14 kilometers per liter in the city, which is very good. It makes this an ideal urban commuter. And it also does 20 kilometers per liter on the highway, making it very efficient on long out-of-town drives. Number three, safety features. It has all the bells and whistles. It has adaptive cruise control with forward collision warning. It has lane keep assist with lane departure warning. Now, it can be very aggressive at times, but it's always good to have this technology. To add to that, you also have the very clear front and rear camera setup to help with parking. So this is going to be one safe car whether you're on the road or you're in the city. Now moving on to the cons, there are only a couple, but they're quite big. Number one, of course, is the body roll. It's just so bad. Whether you're sitting in front or especially when you're in the back, you're going to be swaying a lot, even when you're just changing lanes on the expressway, and that's not too good. Number two, ergonomics. As I pointed out earlier, a lot of the controls are just inside the infotainment system, and it's really not that easy to use. If I hadn't dug deep enough, I wouldn't have known all the controls are inside the head unit. Now, scoring time. So out of 10, I'm gonna give the Haval Jolion a solid 8.